Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Steve from UCAN English Tutoring, one of the pioneer institutions that is specialized in IELTS, PTE and OET examinations. I've been helping more than 12,000 students to pass their examinations since 2008. In this video, I'm going to give some really critical tips in order to pass your OET speaking subtest in one attempt itself. Many students do find it very difficult in order to pass their speaking examination, which could be due to the less application of English language at their workplace, because in many developing or underdeveloping countries, people do get less opportunities to speak in English with their colleagues or with the patients. And as a result, it may be really difficult for them to cope with the speaking communication criteria in the original OET examination. So in this video, I'm going to give you what would be the do's and don'ts that you have to be mindful about when you have to practice the speaking subtest of the OET examination, or to do the same thing in the original examination. Let's go through this now. There are many ways to successfully approach the speaking task. Here is the list of simple points you need to remember in order to help you succeed on the test day. What you have to do: you need to read the role play card carefully and ask the interviewer if you are unsure of any of the words or expressions in the task. Remember that you are allowed to ask these questions to the interviewer before the audio begins. Okay, that is really important. All right. Don't plan, okay, don't plan what you're going to say in advance. React to the scenario on your role play card and plan your role accordingly. You shouldn't plan on the sentences that you're going to speak. Okay, you have to react to the scenario on your role play card, okay, and address the patient's or the patient's carer's question. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is you need to react to what the interviewer, as the patient, asks or says, and respond accordingly. So you need to respond according to the reaction that is showed by the interviewer, who is going to be the patient or the patient's carer. This is more important than simply following the tasks on the card. Though it is recommended to fulfill all the bullet points of a card, it is even more important to react to the interviewer and respond to the interviewer in a polite manner. All right. What you should not do: you should not plan what you're going to say in advance. You have to react to the scenario on your role play card and plan your role accordingly. So, this is what you have to be mindful about. Please focus on the patient and respond to their questions and concerns. It is really important that you, as a primary caregiver, address all the concerns raised by the patients and address their questions as well. What you should not do is don't be card focused at the expense of the patient. It is much more important to respond to the patient in a natural and a caring manner wherever required. Remember that the speaking role play conversation is the one where they are going to assess your speaking skills to see whether you are able to show sympathy to the patient and provide better care. As a result, don't be card focused. All right, it is much more important to respond to the patient in a natural and a caring manner. All right, what is the next one? So, do take charge of the role play card. See, you are already a medical professional and you should act accordingly by leading the role play conversation. Remember that there are two people in the role play conversation: one is the participant and the other is the leader. You must be able to take the leadership role throughout the role play conversation. Okay, this means you must start and conclude the role play card, and if the patient is quiet or silent, it is your responsibility to keep the conversation moving. It is also your responsibility to put the conversation back on track if it is going off the topic. So please understand this. Don't be hesitant to do this because you are a role play leader. You are going to be the leader of the whole conversation. You need to assume that you will have already registered as a nurse. Okay, so that's going to help you out a lot. All right. Do not wait for the interviewer to lead the role play card. It's not good. If you let the interviewer to lead the role play card, your score will be damaged really, really too much. It's not good at all. So if they take the role play conversation themselves, it's not a good thing to do. You're going to get very low score if you do so. So don't be hesitant. Okay, please take the active role of a leader throughout the conversation, and you will be able to pass the exam in one attempt itself. Trust me, you can do that. All right, let's go to the next one. Please utilize the allowed 2 to 3 minutes to identify the key points on your card. You have to understand a few things in this 2 to 3 minutes. All right, what are the things you have to be mindful about? You need to know where the conversation is going to be held. You need to know about the setting, and you need to know whether you know the patient or it is the first time to see the patient. It is also important whether the patient is a known case or an unknown case. All right. And the third one is the main topic of the conversation and the relevant background information. You need to know what is the main reason for the patient who is going to have conversation with you, why the patient is going to talk to you. Is it to get more information about a disease, or is that the patient is really concerned about an operation or a surgery or something? Is that the case? So you have to be able to understand these things in the preparation time itself. That is 2 to 3 minutes. And you have to also understand all the bullet points. You need to know as a caregiver what your role is supposed to be, and you have to deliver the same thing once the audio begins. All right, let's go to the next one. You should not rush. Okay, don't rush through your card in 30 seconds and say you are ready to start. You may miss some important details. So please take the whole preparation time to make notes, understand the information, understand the setting, and then you also have to know whether it is a known patient and what would be the main topic of the conversation, what's the main problem with the patient, and what are the other background details and things like that. So this will help you out a lot. See, preparation, well planning is half done. So you have to use the preparation time very effectively in order to have the whole role play conversation lining up for 5 minutes in an effective way. All right, remember this, please. Please do refer to your card occasionally during the examination, especially if you're unsure of what to say. Well, we do make notes on the role play card because whenever we are confused or we don't have enough to say, we can refer them and then we can talk about the same thing. All right, that's how we are taking notes. That's why we are taking notes. All right, but you don't need to memorize the whole card. Do not memorize the whole card. It's gonna damage your score again. It's not good. You can refer to it as required during the role play conversation. All right, that is absolutely fine. Please be prepared to discuss matters which are not on your card. Remember that the patient's role play card is going to have more information than what you have on your card. So you shouldn't be surprised to receive several questions that are different from what you have, all right, on your card. Okay. Don't feel you must compline every aspect of your task. Remember, it is a guide only, and you will not be penalized if you do not complete every detail of your card. See, sometimes you may get so many bullet points, isn't it? You may get even 8 or 9 bullet points, and it is not necessary for you to complete all the aspects of your role play card. If you miss 1 or 2 bullet points, it is all right as long as you are able to convince the patient, as long as you are able to address the patient's concerns and questions. You should be able to still score A grade in the speaking subtest. It may be a surprise to you, but it's the reality anyway. Please look at the patient during the role play card. Please look at the patient during the role play card. You need to have a face to face communication with the patient. See, it is a personal face to face communication where you are going to act as a caregiver to a member of the community. And as a result, you have to have face to face eye contact with the patient. Although only your speech is recorded, your communication will be more effective if you have eye contact with the interviewer or the interlocutor. Okay. What you should not do is not look at your card only and read it while the patient is looking, as you must listen carefully to what the patient says so that you can respond appropriately. So if you keep on looking at the role play cards and just read whatever the things that you have written on there itself and not listening to the patient, it is going to damage your score dramatically. All right, please stay focused on the task at hand. You only have 5 to 6 minutes to complete the task. So it's really important that you have a good organization skill in order to complete the whole role play conversation in 5 to 6 minutes itself. Don't spend too much time on unrelated matters such as a detailed medical history, as you do not have time for this. See, you need to ask questions in relation to the previous medical history, whichever is relevant. Okay, whenever it is applicable to a situation, you can ask the patient. Otherwise, you should not waste your time asking all the previous health history of the patient. Let's go through the next one. You need to practice as many tasks as possible with a partner to ensure you are familiar with the speaking test. Remember, it is very different to IELTS or PTE and requires different language skills such as the ability to persuade, convince, and reassure. Well, in the IELTS and PTE academic examinations, you don't need to do all these things. You need to act as a candidate and provide information to the questions that have been asked by the examiner. Whereas in this case, you need to act as a caregiver, for example, like a mother to the baby of the same. So a mother is going to provide care to the baby. So the mother needs to persuade the baby, convince the baby, and reassure the baby. So it's going to happen the same way in the OET speaking role play conversation as well. Please do not ignore the task requirements and say what you think based on your medical knowledge. Remember, it is a test of English language ability and not a place to demonstrate your medical knowledge. See, you need to understand that the whole role play conversation is going to be held between you, the medical professional, and a member of the society who is not at all aware of the medical acronyms or technical terms and so on. And as a result, you have to use a lay level language in order to make this patient understand what you are trying to convey. Remember this, please. Thank you. The next one is you need to act confidently and speak with a positive voice. If you are unsure of the details of the condition, it is okay to make it up. Remember, it's a test of English, not your medical knowledge. See, if you don't know some technical information, it is okay. You can still make up because they don't want you to be a master in the medical industry. It's not the case. You need to be, however, able to use English communication skills in order to convey the information to the patient in an effective yet polite manner. I hope you understand this. All right, the next one is you should not show how nervous you are, as this can negatively affect your result. Lots of practice is the best way to overcome nervousness. Remember that many students find it nervous because in the real examination, you may feel that the interlocutor or the examiner is going to pick up each mistake that you commit. It isn't the case. So you can assume that the interlocutor or the interviewer doesn't have good communication skills in English. So it can boost up your confidence levels and you can overperform. On the other hand, if you feel that the interlocutor has better communication skills in English than you are going to underperform. I mean, in reality, you may be able to score B grade easily, but under nervousness, you wouldn't be able to go score even C plus. Please understand this strategy and assume the interviewer or the interlocutor as one of your friends or family members whose communication skills are worse than yours. Please slow down your speech when using unfamiliar words such as names of medications or treatment procedures. Always be ready to explain the meaning of any medical terminology you use. Remember that you are talking to a non medical professional from the society, and as a result, he or she doesn't know anything about the medical terms. You need to be able to explain those medical terms whenever you have to use them. Don't use a lot of medical jargon or technical words. You need to use the layman's language to describe the condition. Layman's language refers to the basic phrases with which the common man can understand the information. Do regularly check the patient understands your explanations. Ask the questions. If you keep on speaking and if the patient doesn't understand your information, it is going to be the worst situation for you and you would be unable to score well. So whenever you describe a procedure or a treatment or some complicated terms, ensure that you ask questions to the patients to make sure that the patient is following you. How can you ask? You can ask like this: is that clear? Can you do that? Did you understand that? Do you have any questions with this? And so on. So you can ask any of the questions, but ensure that you ask the questions and the patient already understood whatever the information you have conveyed. Don't speak in a continuously in a monologue. Okay, you are taking part in a two-way conversation. Remember that you shouldn't speak more than 5 or 6 sentences continuously yourself. It's not good. You need to give an opportunity for the other party to take part in the conversation. Encouraging the interlocutor to take part in the conversation is going to help you out a lot because it is a two-way conversation. You are going to speak with the patient or the patient's carer and provide better care and make them calm down and address their concerns. So these things can only be done when you give the opportunity for the other person to interact with you. So don't keep on talking continuously, please. Do stop speaking if the patient wants to interrupt you. You must respond to the patient. Remember that whenever the patient starts talking about the patient's concerns or problems or other issues, please do not interrupt. If the patient wants to share some problems with you, please let them do so. And then you can respond to the patient. Giving the opportunity for the patient to share their problems with you can actually make them calm down themselves. So it's really critical that you give opportunity for the patients to speak a lot. Do not talk over the patient. You will be penalized for this. Okay, when the patient starts speaking, you should not interrupt the patient. You should let the patient finishes. Then you ask the questions or get the confirmation from them. That's fine. But when the patient is talking about particularly the patient's problems or concerns and so on, and if you interact in between, you will be penalized very heavily. Please don't do this expensive mistake. All right. Correct a grammatical or vocabulary mistake immediately if you are aware that you have made one. Native speakers certainly do this. Yes, of course. See, even the native English speakers do commit grammatical and vocabulary mistakes and they correct them. So don't be panicked if you commit some mistakes in relation to your grammar or vocabulary. You can still correct them and you can improve your scores under these two parameters. Don't rush your sentence as you're more likely to make an error. Try to remain calm and in control. Don't assume that if you speak really faster, you would be able to commit very least mistakes. It isn't the case. It's going to be a boomerang effect. The reason is that if you speak really at a fast pace, the examiner who is going to listen to your conversation wouldn't be able to understand what kinds of information you would like to share with. And as a result, your score will be severely impacted due to this. Be aware of the gender of the patient, and if you say he instead of she, try to correct it. It is always better to use the gender and the prefix of the patient appropriately. For example, if it is Mr., use Mr. If it is Mrs., use Mrs. If it is Miss, use Miss. Do not move them around. Do not use them the other way around. If it is he, please use he, his, him. Don't say, instead of he, don't say she, or don't say her, don't say him. Don't mix them up. Don't make a mess. Try to correct them, but the better thing is not to even commit them. All right? Don't be too stressed if you make some gender error. One or two slips are still acceptable, but more than this may be penalized. You can use some personal pronouns inappropriately, that is absolutely fine. But if you commit more frequently again and again, you are going to be penalized. I hope you find this video useful. If you would like to get your first speaking roleplay conversation assessed at free of cost, word by word, could you please send a message to me on my WhatsApp or mobile number, that is +61 468 480 877. You can also send an email to me at steve@ucanenglishtutoring.com.au. So it is steve@ucanenglishtutoring.com. There's no .au. I'm sorry about that. That's wrong. And then the Facebook page is www.facebook.com/ucantutoring. This one is wrong. Sorry, I should have updated this. And then the website is www.ucanenglishtutoring.com. I have helped more than 12,000 students to pass their examinations since 2008. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope this video has been helpful to you. I wish you good luck with your practice in speaking. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.